media playback is not supported on this device. Australia's 4-0 Ashes victory was a fair result, and well done to them, but those at the top of English cricket must ensure the team is better prepared for such challenges in the future. I said exactly the same last winter after England had been beaten 4-0 in India, the batsmen suffering at the hands of the home side spinners. People shrugged their shoulders and some suggested that England's lack of two quality spinners didn't matter because they wouldn't be touring there again for years. Similarly, England won't have to worry about Australian conditions for another 4 years now. Lessons have to be learned. We simply cannot go on with a pattern where teams go away and get hammered and then sweep things under the carpet once they get back home and begin winning again in conditions that suit them. It's not just England, most countries do it with the pitches, with the exception of Australia. Test cricket needs closer contests though, because it's part of the interesting cycle of the calendar that teams must adapt to new conditions. That also means drawing a line under this tit-for-tat, zero-quality preparation that touring teams are given these days. Hopefully now this has reached the depths whereby administrators realize they have to give teams proper practice and preparation. Otherwise touring teams are going to get hammered, which is totally against the interests of Test cricket. Click to see content. Player by player, there's a pattern developing. There's no chance to restore confidence, no chance to restore form, no chance to get players who aren't playing in a test match into any sort of condition or form, and that has got to stop. Touring teams must be given appropriate amounts of warm-up matches against opposition of a decent standard. Following the limited overs leg of the Tour Down Under, England will travel to New Zealand for 2 test matches in March. I actually think England in New Zealand will be a very good contest because Kane Williamson's side have an excellent new ball attack. The conditions will be more to the liking, but New Zealand won't be a pushover. Problems for England to address. England's inability to turn 50s into 100s was crucial in the defeat in Australia. Australia scored 900s to England's 3, and there were too many failures from their experienced players. Joe Root didn't score a century in the series, and Alistair Cook scored 132 runs in the 8 innings either side of his albeit magnificent 244 not out in the 4th Test in Melbourne. Click to see content. Hundreds. There was always a question about James Vince's selection. We talked about that before a ball was bowled. While he looks pretty at times and played 1 or 2 nice innings, he's just not got the technique to cope with test-class bowling around his off-stump. That, I'm afraid, was a gamble that didn't work. We might see Doyd Mallon move up to number 3 in New Zealand. That would make sense to me because he has potential and looks more suited to that role than anyone else we've seen in the past 12 months. Similarly, there were positives in the debut of Craig Overton in Australia. He looks to be a good, decent professional. Again, though, I think he is someone who will bowl well in England but lack penetration elsewhere. We have talked a lot about the lack of pace in the bowling attack, and that was evident all series. England have got to encourage a system in which they produce fast bowlers. They have got to take bowlers with pace to countries like Australia. You can't have 82 to 83 miles per hour bowlers rolling up there with a kookaburra ball and expect to get decent players out. It's not going to happen. Is Bayliss still the right man for England? It's easy to throw mud at coaches because we don't see, nor often understand, everything they do. However, if ever there was a case for a coach doing his job, it was when Johnny Bairstow went out without a night watchman in Sydney. That was just a common-sense decision at the particular time. I'm not always a fan of the night watchman. I used to do it and hated the job, and there were times when I thought it was unnecessary and just a batsman that was hiding. However, there are times when it is essential for the team that you don't lose a frontline batsman, and that was the case in Sydney in England's first innings when a new ball was taken. Joe Root had just been dismissed in the penultimate over of the day, and it was an absolute bang-to-rights case of needing a night watchman. The coach should have said, "Sit down, Johnny. Jimmy Anderson, get out there and bat." That should have been the end of it. There should be no argument. That was a case where I thought the coach got it wrong. Jonathan Agnew was speaking to BBC Sport's Mark Higginson.